Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It's Friday morning, and tomorrow we see the funeral for Pope Francis. We're going to be talking about him today. It's very interesting. If you thought you knew what was going on, boy, are you going to be surprised. I talk a lot about conspiracies. I talk a lot about the elites. I talk a lot about the control systems like the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, World Health Organization, these big elite organizations like the Vatican is another one of them. Untold secrets, untold gold and riches, some very devious behavior over the centuries. Just incredible things, and this story today is another one of them. I am gonna convince you that Pope Francis was never the Pope. That's right, he's an imposter, folks, and we're gonna get to it. There's some telltale signs. There's some telltale signs even in appearance if you look over the years from when he first became Pope to now, to recent photographs. Shape of the ears, the teeth are different, you know. And also, just even, well, the teeth alone. You look at all these pictures of him in the early days, and he had a big, wide open, wide mouthed smile. In the last few years, it's always been a closed mouth, so you can't see his teeth. There's just the odd picture that I've seen, and I ran across one a while ago. I've been trying to find it when I do. Wow, because I should have saved it. But you can really notice. Well, and you'd say, well, why is it a different, if he was a false pope in the beginning, why is he replaced? Well, we know whether it's a clone or a body double or a mask. Look at Biden over the years. Pictures of him, one picture of him in a t-shirt in like the 80s, and he's got a big tattoo on his arm. Then you get the picture of him getting his COVID shot, no tattoo. The ears are different. Biden just, don't even go there. We have seen this over and over and over down through the years with the elites, and there's always been this kind of speculation, but it's more than speculation. Let's just talk about one thing. Simple. Maybe it was an actor with a mask on. You think you could tell? Do you think you could tell? Well, I'll show you something. There is a book that I own, The Moscow Rules by Antonio and Jonah Mendez. Now, they were CIA operatives. Did you ever see the movie Argo? The whole Ken Taylor Iran embassy situation, and how we were told that Canada helped get them. The whole thing was a CIA operation. Now, this book, sorry, it's backwards. Jonah Mendez, her and her husband both at different times for like a 10-year period or something, 4 or 5, whatever. They were both masters of disguise within the CIA, meaning they would develop disguises for their CIA agents. We're talking about spycraft. And this book is how they operated within Moscow at the time with human agents and stuff. But getting back to the masks, and I mean, now, what I'm going to show you, this happened in the 80s. She was, she had a meeting. She was in a meeting with President George Bush with other people, and they were going to be discussing, they wanted to show him what they were doing. So she comes in. There she is, but that's not what she looks like. She's in this discussion with him. That is a mask. That is a mask. And he could not discern it at that time. So after they've had the discussion, what does she do? She looks straight at him, pulls the mask off. Here's the picture. Do you know that picture was classified because it was a mask? You couldn't show that picture for decades. Now she can. But I mean, if it was that good then, and you've all seen things, we've all seen it, it's out in the media now, how good the masks are now. Can you imagine? Could it be a mask? Could it be an actor? There's speculation about that. And not just with the Pope, I mean with other... It's ubiquitous now. Because we know we can't trust them. There's too many anomalies. How about the anomaly of back in 2020 when he was on the balcony addressing the crowd and he turns around and walks back through the window and like that disappears. 1 second he's there like a hologram, like a projector was shut off. That's interesting. That's interesting. There's a lot of speculation that he hasn't been around for about 5 years. And you look at, like, even the last couple of days of his life, okay? He met J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance. And he looked all right. I mean, weak and old, and he's been sick, as they said, and all of this. The next day, he's dead. But the whole left side of his face is all bruised. What could have happened? A stroke? He might get a small hematoma or something. Wouldn't do that. One news report said, oh, it was because it's called something to do with rigor mortis and whatever. I forget what it's called. But when you're laying on one side, so all the blood drains to the one side, and that's why. That would mean he would have had to have been unsupervised for hours for that to happen. He's just been home after being very sick. He was having round-the-clock care. Couldn't have happened. There's been speculation that he died quite a while ago and an actor's been taking his place, and this was the actual body of Francis, but that it had been perhaps frozen for 5 years or something, hence maybe the bruise. I don't know. But in this crazy bloody world with everything going on, something's not right. So we have almost an obligation to look at all the options about what could be going on, so we have a clear idea. And we know this stuff goes on. But now, whether it was Francis or not, whether he died in 2020 or not, those things aside, the bigger point is, was he ever really a legitimate pope at all. And I came across a really, really good interview. I'm going to link it in the description. Lionel Nation, he's a practicing lawyer in New York. Smart guy, interesting and funny. Take a look at this. He's done an interview with a Vatican scholar who will outline to you what actually happened, how Pope Benedict was put aside and basically put under house arrest in favor of Francis, and why it was done, and how it was done, and how we know that Benedict was pushed aside and it wasn't his choice just to retire, because in the original Latin text of the speech he gave, it outlines it quite clearly. Way too involved for me to try to relate to you, but it is worth watching, because then you have proof that Francis was never a legitimate pope. So if the Vatican can play these kind of stories, can you imagine? We've got, there's been a bit of a shake-up in the elites, but they always have a backup plan. They always have a backup plan. We just saw Klaus Schwab step down from the World Economic Forum, but the guy that's taken over for him, the interim leader, is the former head of Nestle, and this guy is, I think more of a monster. He doesn't believe that humans have any right to fresh water. It's not a human right. It's a privilege, I suppose. This guy, when he was with Nestle, made deals with Canada and stuff for the use of the water, the Great Lakes. I mean, the guy, he's just awful. Another control grid monster. Absolutely. And don't think that the Vatican isn't a part of the control grid too, part of the elite's agenda. There are over 1 billion Catholics in the world. If you do your research, you will understand what's really going on with the Catholic Church. That the whole operation is illegitimate. It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole, I tell you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Just letting you know, like what we've been seeing for the last, decade or so. It's just been theater. It's been theater to force the agenda. You ever notice how Francis was very progressive? That's why. He was parroting the elite's agenda for immigration, for all kinds of this stuff. He was, the vaccines. He was right on board and basically saying, "Oh, you're a sinner if you don't want to go along with this kind of stuff," right? So Francis being placed in the Pope's throne was an agenda-driven exercise. He was never legitimate. This is why we're going to see some changes in his funeral tomorrow. They've tried to pass it off, but here's the thing. Even right down to the coffin. Popes are traditionally buried in 3 coffins nested inside each other. Cypress, the middle one lead, and the outer is oak. And it's outlined why. Now Francis is saying he's going to be buried in a wooden coffin lined. Then they didn't say what kind of wood. In a wooden coffin just lined with zinc. And they're saying, why is this? He says it's about him being humble and all of that jazz. Not true. It's because now the Catholic Church, everything, ritual, rites and rituals, they're very big on their rituals, especially around death and especially around this kind of thing. It's a satanic ritual, basically. Basically, that's what it is. And with all these rituals, they have to follow them to the letter for the magic trick to work. And that, because he is a false pope and they all know it, he is not allotted the same ritual. Even though it was the cardinals' choices, certain cardinals' choices to put him in there, they all know he's not legitimate. So he can't have the same rituals. That's why the funeral's going to be a little different. It has nothing to do with Francis's humility. Just so you know. So, here's what we've got. Again, it's all theater. What we're being shown, what they allow us to see. It's all theater. We have to discern what's really going on. That is just the way things are right now with the elites and the royal family and the Vatican and the World Economic Forum. All of these elites in these control systems have the same agenda. They're all in the same club. We're not in it. So we're subject to their madness. But one way to kind of rise above it and succeed is at least you got to know what they're trying to do to you. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the false pope. Don't be fooled by the ritual funeral. Don't be fooled by the Catholic Church. It's not what you think it is. Do your research. It's time. If you haven't already, it's time. Get started. I want you to like, subscribe, share this video, leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.